Now, in addition to welcoming our listeners to PWTR, I must also welcome you to 2014. We'll be kicking off the new year in a grand fashion, as tonight's episode of PWTR will be a double header. First, you'll get our usual ranting and raving, and then we move on to naming the winners of our PWF Empire year-end award categories in our annual Dubby Awards show. Make sure to stick around for that, but for now, let's move on to our top story of the week. After all of the provocations and attacks, Daniel Bryan was all set to finally get his hands on Bray Wyatt in the main event of Raw, as the leader of the Wyatt family awaited him at the end of a gauntlet. But in a shocking turn of events, instead of taking Wyatt's head off, Bryan ended up taking his offer to join the Wyatt family.
First, I'd like to say that the match with Luke Harper to start this, gauntlet-style match, on the very last day of 2013, it stole the award for Raw match of 2013, in my opinion. Luke Harper, to me, is the most underrated in-ring worker on the roster. Definitely great stuff there. The stuff with Rowan made sense, and they did it well. As far as him joining the Wyatt family, or as it appeared to, I definitely thought it was intriguing. His whole maybe rising up against, the machine kind of thing was kind of cool. It adds dimension to his character, or it adds a character to him, I guess you could say. So I'm definitely excited to see where it goes.
Disregarding the fact that Daniel Bryan is probably the most over guy in the company right now, him turning heel, I would say, originally I would have said that the worst heel turn of the year would have been Ryback, even though he sucks, but this one probably is going to take the cake. But let's just disregard that fact. Regarding the storyline, here we have a guy who was nearly killed by the Wyatt family, beaten up week in on week out. I just don't understand why he would join them. I mean, I know that the Machine, the corporation, has been trying to hold him back, but the Wyatt family's been holding him back too, so I don't really understand this. And they've been doing this for quite some time now. We had The Rock get beat up by the corporation, and then he won the title, and then they were magically buddies. Triple H, probably the worst offender, nearly killed Austin by running him over, and then they were like best BFFs forever, like 2 months later. This has been going on for quite some time now, and I know pro wrestling and plot holes go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, but it's just a mistake that's been going on for years and years now, and you'd think they'd learn their lesson. I'm going to give this one a chance, though. I'm going to be open to it, even though they're not off to a good start. And some people would say, hey, turn your brain off. But if I have to turn my brain off to enjoy a story, I don't think we're off to a good start. The one thing, the saving grace about this storyline, I would say, is that Daniel Bryan, lately he's been just going out there and saying, yes, 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 and, kicking people in the head, and that was just the end of the show. Now, this was entertaining for me, but it was a bit one-dimensional. So I'm glad that we at least have a chance to build upon his character. And who knows, maybe Daniel Bryan is just using the Wyatt family. Maybe he's going to, I don't know, I mean, this is completely unlikely, but maybe he'll just use them to win the Royal Rumble, or use him to do something. So we have that to look forward to, but I just don't understand the logic in this.
I'm kind of confused by David and Charlie's words saying heel, because heel and faces don't exist anymore. So we're talking about Daniel Bryan's character change, right? I personally don't think this is just to use the words just because it's there, heel turn, because it reminds me quite a bit of the Shawn Michaels JBL storyline back in 2009, where he just worked for him because he had to. And I think Daniel Bryan is just doing it because he's kind of a lost puppy at the moment. And you could see in his face that he didn't really want to do it. And him turning back on the fans seemed very Shawn Michaels-esque with that JBL storyline, or even John Cena in the Nexus thing, where he had to forcibly join them kind of thing. And I just thought he saw no other way out of it, so he just decided to join him at the moment and hope for the best. I don't think it's a heel turn. And I do like the Wyatt family quite a bit, but with Bray Wyatt, though, him being a cult leader and stuff, he's supposed to program them and be like motionless zombies and stuff like that with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, and I'm not going to get the feel we're going to get that with Daniel Bryan, so feels like his cult magic isn't really working in this scenario. So that's why I think it's not really a heel turn. It's more of like, got to do what you got to do kind of thing. And I just see this turning into a storyline with Cena maybe, and I don't know where this is going to go, so it has my interest point at the very least, so I'm giving it a thumbs up for the time being.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, whatever you want to call it, heel turn, character change, whatever. Either way, I enjoyed it, looking forward to where it goes. I'm interested to see if Daniel Bryan even goes on the mic anymore, because it may just be Bray Wyatt. I don't want Daniel Bryan to outshine Bray Wyatt on the mic, even though I don't think he can, but we'll see where that goes. I'm just curious where they're going to go with it. Honestly, I'm thinking at some point in time, they're going to turn face, the whole group, if face is a thing anymore, but I think that's where they're going. I think they're going to fight the Machine, let's say the corporation, Triple H, Stephanie. They're going to fight them, so I think that's where they're going to go with it sooner or later. I don't know if it's going to be Mania or after.
Now, Brandon and I actually suggested this a few weeks ago, but since then, I kind of like jumped off the bandwagon because even though I still believed it would be an interesting move, there was no way in hell WWE was going to go through with it. But lo and behold, they actually did. And guess what? I'm 100% on board with Daniel Bryan being a member of the Wyatt family. The action in the matches was great, and I love how it built up the anticipation for Bryan getting his hands on Bray, only for it to be flipped with him joining the Wyatt family. My favorite part of it all was sitting on the edge of my seat with the suspense like, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Are you fucking kidding me? He actually did. And altogether, it was just a great segment. Now, to examine it from a larger perspective, I've made no secret of the fact that I haven't been much of a fan of the character that Bryan has been portraying for a while now. I'm a fan of the man, but me liking you isn't enough to excuse bullshit like, well, I know you have the potential to be awesome. Even though you're not living up to that potential, it's okay. Fuck that. Sorry. I ain't that loyal. So, to me, him joining the Wyatt family is great news because an interesting Daniel Bryan is more valuable than a face Daniel Bryan. But that's not to say that the two are mutually exclusive because this could be a catalyst to those two sides coming together. Now, after I got over the initial shock of Bryan joining, I started to think, what if this is just him working as a double agent? He tried the whole run and gun method of attacking head on, and it's clear that that didn't turn out too well for him. Actually, it was an epic fucking failure. So this could just be adding layers to his character, acknowledging the fact that he's outnumbered, then using that intelligence and subterfuge to take down the king from the inside out, kind of like a Trojan horse. Now, it's up for debate whether it goes that way or it truly is a heel turn for Bryan, but as far as I'm concerned, what isn't debatable is the fact that this gives his character momentum and great things can be achieved one way or another. Now, I want to go back to something that David said. You said that this didn't make sense, and one thing that you don't want out of wrestling is the first statement to be, turn your brain off. How do I put this? Maybe you would have to turn your brain on to understand what's going on here, because look at the reason why Bray Wyatt was attacking Daniel Bryan in the first place. It's because he wanted him to join the Wyatt family, and the assault that they waged against Daniel Bryan was their way of saying this is going to continue until you do what I say. So there's no plot hole here. Actually, it makes perfect sense where I'm standing.
It's not like he shook his hand and gave him a big old hug. Like, he just kind of gave in to the fact that he couldn't take down the Wyatt family.
That's even worse, to be honest. He's like a quitter, like a kind of a sissy at this point. I mean, he's been defended.
And you say like they need to learn their lesson when it comes to Rock being the corporate champion. I mean, that got super over. So I don't know what lesson you think they need to learn. Like the idea that people who fight each other can't ever become like aligned in wrestling is just so unrealistic and just impossible to actually do to like keep that going. It's just not fair.
Life isn't fair.
Well, what do you all think about the angle that Daniel Bryan could just be a double agent?
I hope, because I think that the fans are going to crap on this. Turning Daniel Bryan heel at this point, I don't know if they're trying to get rid of the yes chance. Maybe Triple H was just so ticked off by maybe the management was like, this is getting ridiculous, annoying. But I think they're probably just going to chant no. Maybe Daniel Bryan just goes out there and like does the same thing. Stop doing the yeses. It's not going to help me. And then they're just going to do no. It's not like the crowd is going to care. I mean, it probably depends on the city, because obviously we're not going to have marquee cities every time we go out to have a Raw or a SmackDown or something. But I'm pretty sure that the fans don't believe in this. Even the reaction to Daniel Bryan, turning his back on the fans, they didn't buy it at all. So I think that we're still going to get more of the same. I think that they're not going to turn on him yet. At least the vast majority. So,
I mean, what do you mean? Like, because
it sounds to me like they bought it. They were really into that moment on Raw.
They were chanting no. They were begging him to come back. And I mean, I thought you couldn't judge the show without seeing it, though. So I mean, I don't know how you're going to say that they're not going to buy into it. I mean, you say that no crowd's going to buy into this. I mean, I don't know. You haven't seen 3 weeks from now.
Because they've tried this before. They tried turning him heel. They tried embarrassing him, and they just did yes, yes, yes.
Well,
Yeah, but this is a different kind of heel too. It's not just like he's actually joining a cult. His character is changing to something we haven't seen before. That's why I'm like, you have to give it a chance, and we won't know this until we see it.
The fans aren't. I don't think the idea is necessarily get the fans to boo him. It's for the fans to sympathize with him and want him to change his mind. You know, they were chanting, you know, don't go, you know, come back, you know, that whole deal. I don't think the idea is for them to be, you know, him to be hated and vilified.
Yeah, and I don't think that there has to be some kind of grand conspiracy that exists for this move to happen anyway, because like I said earlier, an interesting Daniel Bryan is more valuable to me than a face Daniel Bryan, and it's not as if this is WWE conceding that Daniel Bryan will never be a world champion again. Daniel Bryan doesn't deserve to be a main event star, because at the end of the day, he was still in the main event, and people were so wrapped up in that move, and that was the go-home image that everyone shared, and it's pretty much what everyone is talking about right now. So it's not as if with this move, this is WWE's way of riding Daniel Bryan off into the sunset. I think it's unfair to look at it from that perspective.
And it's possible for, you know, a kind of bad guy-esque character to be more than just the hated villain. It's possible for you to have to, you know, dig a little bit deeper and for there to be a different kind of bad guy reaction.
I highly doubt they're going to be able to do something as complex. This is the same team that paired up Great Khali, Natalya, and Hornswoggle.
Well, it worked though when they did it. I mean, not the Khali Hornswoggle.
I was about to say.
The bad timing. Okay, the Daniel Bryan thing worked though, because the reaction they wanted is for people to, you know, not want him to go with the Wyatt family, and that's the reaction they got. So just because it's kind of a bad guy-esque character and they're not just booing their heads off, is kind of good, and I think it plays into what they were trying to get done.
Also, they're just doing it to incite a reaction, really. That's all they really want to do. And they accomplish it because there's people online, Twitter, anywhere, just saying how much they hate this angle. It's like they got them. Hook, line, and sinker. So they're doing something right here.
One thing I noticed, and I know Justin is absolutely going to love this. Does anybody find this ironic that whenever somebody gets as popular as John Cena, they turn heel immediately afterwards?
But this might not be a heel turn, though. Like,
Yeah,
as everyone's saying, it could be a thing where, as Charlie said, the fans are going to keep trying to sway him back to the, I guess, the good side, where he's getting brainwashed, but the fans are trying to get him back. So it could just be that thing where he's going back and forth. So it might not be like a let's boo him all the time. It may be a let's try to get him back on our side type of thing.
This might just be another rise above the hate storyline, like the Darth Vader Kane situation. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying this might be another way of going about it. And plus, this is a good way to end the year, too. It's like, oh, my God, Daniel Bryan, this is like changing everything. That's what they wanted to do with the last show of Raw, is be like, oh, my God, things might change now. And they have with Daniel Bryan joining the Wyatts. It's something new.
Yeah, I'm going to be open, but I do not trust the writers to give us something complex like this. Every time I have my hopes up high, I always get crushed. So,
but they just did on Monday.
Yeah, this has just been 1 week. We have to see what happens within the next couple of months.
So then you are judging the show without seeing it.
I just said that we have to give it a couple of weeks. How is that being judgmental?
Because you say you don't see how they're going to make this complex, and then I said they did, and you said, yeah, but they had. I don't see how that's going to last.
Stop confusing me.
Well, you're being a hypocrite.
All right, tag me in, David. I got this. All right.
No.
You need a hot tag, buddy.
I retired.
All right, I'm tagged in. All right, Charlie, what he's trying to say is, like, I'm not going to defend what he said beforehand. I'm just saying from this point on, he wants to see where it goes kind of thing. He doesn't want to be like, I hate it all of a sudden, but he doesn't have faith because WWE hasn't given him reason to have faith, is what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah, I don't owe them anything. I've given them all of my money for ridiculous pay-per-views and stuff. I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh, this is going to be absolutely jolly. That's going to be a boring show to watch. I mean, I don't know about our audience. I mean, who knows? Maybe they do want this to be a peaceful show, but if I see something that's a bit silly, I have to go out on a limb and call it out. I mean, I don't want people to think that I just sit down and watch Raw and say, oh, this is stupid. This sucks. Most of the time I'm laughing. Well, I mean, I'm laughing sometimes, not because I'm laughing with them, but at the same time, I just sit down there and I say, oh, this is okay. This is fun. I just kind of have a blank face over my my emotions, but I'm not sitting there saying this is going to absolutely be stupid. But at the same time, I just don't. I don't understand why they're going through with this. This is the most popular guy in the company, and you would think that they would want to keep that. But if the guy is,
well, will they? I mean, if the fans keep going with the whole, idea of trying to get Daniel Bryan to go back against the Wyatt family, and they're sympathizing with him, and they're trying, convince him, we want the old Daniel Bryan. Isn't that kind of accomplishing that same thing, though?
Yeah, they're building him up to be something grander.
Yeah, it's not so much a heel turn, it's more of a, it's different, which is good.
See, you're just so hung up on that word heel, like he has to go out and freaking, just beat the shit out of her face and try to get this giant heel reaction.
This is the group that kind of beat up and every single good guy.
But even though Daniel Bryan might be joining the Wyatt family, he needs to be held to a different standard than the Wyatt family. They're not trying to accomplish the same thing with both.
How do you know that?
Because it's how the crowd reacted on Monday. If the crowd keeps reacting like that, then the thing is going to be that Daniel Bryan's going to possibly even grow in popularity.
Well, I mean, the crowd chants Cena sucks all the time. That doesn't mean he turns heel.
But Daniel Bryan's not heel yet.
Listen to what I'm saying. He's in with the Wyatts now. They're gonna mistreat him like the Wyatts do, because that's how the Wyatt family are. They're gonna beat him when he doesn't do something right, and they're gonna beat him when he does something right. It's just the moment that's gonna really solidify Daniel Bryan as a true babyface, because I think they're gonna turn him back eventually. They can't just keep him as a heel with the Wyatts. You can imagine that moment, how emotional that's going to be. It's like when Alex Riley turned on The Miz back in 2011. Even though they didn't do anything with Alex Riley, they might do something with Daniel Bryan.
What's up with all of these examples you all are using? I have to say, they are terrible.
Because he beat on The Miz?
We need to stop comparison.
I'm just saying, it's like...
We've done a complete 180. Like, before we used to do, this is an Austin versus McMahon. Now we're doing, this is, Khali and Natalya. And
because everybody gets their feelings hurt when you mention the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I mean, you do it all the time, so...
Don't you? That reaction where Alex did turn Miz, how we got
what you're saying, but some people are going to be like, are you fucking kidding me, comparing Daniel Bryan to Alex Riley?
But you can't have it both ways, people.
The thing is, I do believe that whatever happens here, Daniel Bryan is going to come out on the other side better than he entered.
Do you also believe that pigs fly?
Some of them do.
Yeah, we're not there at New Year's? I saw one fly.
The guy's just going to get beaten. I mean, and here's another thing, too. Where's the redemption storyline? I mean, I've never really seen an angle where... Well, they don't really call them angles. I've never really seen a storyline where somebody went up against a corporation and never got some sort of comeback. They just basically said, this guy's a nerd, he sucks, and he'll never win. And sure enough, he didn't really win. He just went into another completely different storyline. It's just kind of...
Although, David...
Well, here's where everything comes full circle, because do you remember why Bray Wyatt was trying to get Daniel Bryan to join the Wyatt family in the first place?
And it came out of his fucking mouth in the middle of the ring that the machine was holding him down.
Exactly. So they're going on a tirade against the machine. That it brings everything full circle. So maybe this is the redemption storyline that you've been waiting for.
The only way he's going to get the revenge, and he's going to have to either fight Triple H or win the Royal Rumble, which is not going to happen.
We may be unsure about the direction of Daniel Bryan, but one thing that you can always bet on is that when we see Brock Lesnar, destruction is sure to follow.